July 20th, Malcolm-Jamal Warner tragically drowns in Costa Rica. Just 2 days later, boom, the Wall Street Journal drops a bombshell. Donald Trump allegedly knew his name was on Jeffrey Epstein's list. Now you tell me, coincidence? Not when you hear the fire Malcolm was spitting about Trump supporters right before he died.
But I think Mr. Trump's supporters, people who voted for him, I mean, you voted for misogyny and hate. There's no way around it.
Those words turned out to be chillingly prophetic, just not in the way anyone saw coming. Meanwhile, racists wasted no time celebrating his death, flooding social media with disgusting posts like, "Blacks don't swim," as if his drowning was some kind of punchline.
So we got these uncivilized mutts out here who are online making jokes about Malcolm-Jamal Warner, saying something about how the reason he died is because black folks can't swim.
The Wall Street Journal was peeling back the curtain on exactly what Malcolm had been warning us about all along: Trump's shady, deep-pocketed criminal connections.
The Wall Street Journal is now reporting that Justice Department officials told President Trump in May that his name was among many names mentioned in the Epstein files.
The evidence was so jaw-droppingly damning. Even Trump's own Republican crew couldn't pretend to stomach defending him anymore. They backed away like he was radioactive.
Last night, in defiance of the president with a Republican majority, the House Oversight Committee voted to subpoena all documents related to the Jeffrey Epstein case in a vote of 8-2.
Malcolm-Jamal Warner's warning about Trump wasn't some casual political hot take. It was a full-blown prophecy. He called out the misogyny, the hate, and the darkness long before the receipts dropped. Just weeks before his mysterious death in Costa Rica, he made his final public statement about Trump. While Hollywood stayed silent, he spoke boldly. And days after he drowned, boom. Epstein files surface. Connections exposed. His words hit harder than ever. These weren't his final words ever, but they were his last words about Trump, and knowing what we know now, they hit completely different. What once sounded like harsh political commentary in his final interview was actually a dead-on diagnosis of the very criminal mindset that would be exposed just days after his death. Let that sink in. He wasn't talking about tax brackets or immigration policy. He was talking about character, about how a man treats women, the vulnerable, the powerless. He was calling out a worldview that treats women like disposable playthings. The exact mentality fueling Jeffrey Epstein's twisted trafficking empire. And the backlash? Instant and brutal. Trump supporters never forgave him. They lit up social media for years, demanding he shut up and stay in his lane. But Malcolm had seen something they couldn't, or refused to, admit was staring them dead in the face.
Do you want to stand up for what you say you believe in? Ending racism is not solely our responsibility. Eradicating racism is a shared burden.
He knew the truth that makes people uncomfortable. Powerful predators don't act alone. They build networks. They create shields. They surround themselves with allies willing to stay silent, look the other way, or worse, protect them. When Malcolm-Jamal Warner spoke about the collective responsibility to fight injustice, he wasn't preaching. He was preparing us. For the moment we'd find out that Trump wasn't just casually brushing elbows with Epstein, he was actively covering up those ties to child trafficking. And now, the timing of Malcolm's warnings feels downright supernatural. He wasn't just offering political commentary. He was dissecting the exact psychological rot that would eventually bubble to the surface in criminal form. His words weren't campaign chatter. They were a blueprint, a warning, a prophecy. He saw how Trump's public misogyny wasn't just offensive, it was a gateway, a mask for a deeper darkness. What seemed like just another celebrity getting political was actually Malcolm screaming from the front lines about the danger of normalizing cruelty. His words about Trump's supporters now read like a roadmap straight into the heart of the Epstein scandal. He wasn't criticizing policy, he was calling out a sickness. The very mindset that reduces women to disposable toys, the same mindset that makes trafficking networks possible. And now we know what he was warning us about. Trump supporters voted for a man whose behavior toward women wasn't just vile, it was criminal. And Malcolm's final statement? It didn't age, it exploded. Because it predicted, in chilling detail, the very psychology now being exposed in the Epstein files. But if you really want to grasp how eerie this timing is, look at what happened next. It was a quiet Sunday afternoon in Costa Rica. A family vacation. A peaceful day, until it wasn't. A sudden riptide dragged Malcolm and his daughter out into open water. Surfers fought the waves to rescue them. They reached his daughter in time, but Malcolm was already slipping beneath the surface. By the time they pulled him ashore, it was over. The news spread like wildfire. Malcolm-Jamal Warner, gone at 54. Tributes poured in. Colleagues praised his warmth. Fans shared Cosby Show memories. Activists honored his fearless truth-telling. But among the heartfelt messages, something else crept in. Something darker. Something that confirmed everything he'd ever said about where America was headed and who we were really protecting.
So we got these uncivilized mutts out here who are online making jokes about Malcolm-Jamal Warner, saying something about how the reason he died is because black folks can't swim.
Let's talk about what really went down after Malcolm-Jamal Warner's death, because the timing wasn't just suspicious, it was cosmic. While the world was mourning a man who spent his life fighting for justice, racists were out here posting "Blacks don't swim" like it was comedy hour. And these weren't trolls in dark corners of the internet. This was mainstream social media, real names, real faces, real hate. The same people who scream, "Protect the children," were laughing at the death of a man who actually did protect children. But karma? She doesn't wait long. Just 2 days after Malcolm's drowning, the Wall Street Journal dropped the kind of bombshell that makes timelines shatter. Trump had known for months his name was all over the Epstein files. Months. While he was out here promising to drain the swamp, he was sitting on a swamp secret of his own ties to a human trafficking ring. Every single promise about transparency? A calculated lie to protect himself while manipulating an army of followers who thought they were fighting for justice. And let's talk about those followers. The ones mocking Malcolm's death with racist hashtags? Those same folks were defending a man caught up in child trafficking. That's not politics. That's a full-blown moral collapse. The exact one Malcolm warned us about. His interviews weren't just commentary. They were crystal-clear diagnoses of a criminal mindset. He saw through the facade. He knew that the same man who bragged about grabbing women would be the same man who had connections to Epstein. And now, the evidence is pouring out like a busted fire hydrant. Flight logs, wedding photos, depositions. Epstein himself pleading the fifth when asked about Trump and girls. Suddenly, Mr. Talkative needed constitutional protection. That's not nothing to hide. That's everything to hide.
Emphasized, she's not here for you. And he said, "Come with me." And he escorted him into another office, and I was like, who's in there? And when he said, "Oh, I thought she was," I thought, is there a in there?
Let's not forget Maria Farmer's testimony. Trump being ushered into private rooms based on preferences? That's not casual socializing. That's systematic exploitation. And here's the kicker. The very same government agencies claiming to protect children? They're now working overtime to protect Trump. The DOJ closed the Epstein case with a one-line memo. No client list exists. No further charges. Nothing to see here. Case closed. Translation? Protect the predator. Bury the victims. Meanwhile, Trump's own deputy attorney general, who also happened to be his personal lawyer, has been making private visits to Ghislaine Maxwell in prison. You know, the woman convicted of trafficking children. Coincidence? Please. They're not hiding the corruption. They're rubbing it in our faces.
The FBI and DOJ memorandum that says we will not release any files. There's nothing to see here. We're not going to charge anyone. This is over.
Maria Farmer, the first to report Epstein back in 1996, has to wait until 2027 to see her own case files, right after Trump's next term would end. Convenient, huh? But here's where Malcolm's prophecy hits hardest, because even Republicans are now breaking ranks. Last night, in a stunning 8-2 vote, the Republican-led House Oversight Committee voted to subpoena every document related to Epstein and Trump. You know it's bad when even Trump's own party can't spin it anymore. Nancy Mace publicly turned on him. Conservative media started shifting the narrative. Even Mark Epstein, Jeffrey's own brother, went on CNN and confirmed that Trump and Jeffrey were good friends. Not acquaintances, good friends. And how did Trump respond? Like clockwork, attacking Republicans, calling them weak and disloyal. No concern for victims. No call for truth. Just rage that his own tribe might finally be seeing him for what he is. This is the exact reckoning Malcolm warned us about. Not just political chaos, moral exposure. A movement built on cruelty, now imploding under the weight of its own crimes. His death, as tragic as it was, became the amplifier his message never had in life. Because now, even Trump's defenders can't unsee what's in front of them. The racism, the misogyny, the child trafficking connections, the cover-ups, the silence from those who once claimed to care. It's all part of the same machine Malcolm spent his life fighting. And in death, he didn't just win the argument. He became the proof.
Even he and his memory is not immune to the uncivilized mutt. The uncivilized mutt will take every single opportunity he or she has to cause confusion and disruption.
The racist mockery of his death with "Blacks Don't Swim" hashtags proved his prophecy with devastating precision. The same people celebrating a drowning victim are defending a man with documented connections to child taking. This isn't cognitive dissonance. It's exactly the moral bankruptcy he predicted would define Trump's movement. But his death accomplished something his life never could. It created a moral reckoning that forced America to confront the contradiction between stated values and actual behavior. When you're defending someone who covers up connections to child trafficking while mocking the death of someone who fought for justice, you can't pretend to occupy moral high ground anymore. We don't have the luxury of falling out. This is our way of life. We fight racism. We deal with racism every single day that we are breathing. His understanding of justice as a way of life rather than political position is what made his warnings so prophetic. He wasn't making campaign predictions. He was diagnosing a moral pathology that would manifest in criminal behavior. The corruption he identified included actual participation in child taking networks. The cosmic timing feels like divine intervention. As racists celebrated his drowning, evidence was emerging that proved every warning he'd issued about Trump's character. The same week, America lost one of its most principled voices. We discovered the man he warned us about was even worse than anyone imagined. His prophecy is complete. Trump supporters did vote for someone whose cruelty toward women and children would manifest in criminal connections to child trafficking. The same mindset that celebrates his death with racist mockery is the same mindset that protects powerful predators from accountability. The victims of Epstein's network are finally finding their voices. The subpoenas are being issued. The investigations are moving forward. Even Trump's most loyal supporters are being forced to choose between tribal loyalty and basic human decency when confronted with evidence of child taking connections. His final words about Trump change everything because they predicted the exact criminal mindset and systematic corruption now being exposed. The man who died fighting for justice has become more prophetic in death than he ever was in life. When the full truth about the Epstein files finally emerges, when every document is released and every testimony is heard, history will remember that he saw it coming. He warned us about the corruption that would manifest in protection of child traffickers. His voice warning us about Trump's true character will echo through every revelation until justice is finally served. The racist trolls thought they were silencing his message by celebrating his death. Instead, they amplified it beyond anything they could imagine. His warnings about Trump now carry the weight of prophecy, vindicated by criminal evidence that proves he was right about everything. Anyway, that's it for the video, folks.
Bye.